Hello everyone, this is JD's Builds and welcome back. We are working on the Bionic Arm from Metal Gear Solid 5. This is my first time ever trying to record with a microphone, so please bear with me and we'll get through this. So, as we remembered from last time, this is where we are. We got 3 fingers and the palm plates completed and hopefully are measured correctly, but I wanted to change in here right there, the size of the inside of that. I want to actually match that on those, which means I'm gonna have to bring this bottom thing up. Let's grab my ruler, double check, because the inside of here, if I remember correctly, and I can go back and get the measurements for it, I'm just lazy right now, I believe was 3/4 of an inch from bottom to top of my finger, which I could probably do with my other fingers as well. I just gave it that little extra gap. There's a little extra give for me when I go to wear this. But that's what I had done with my original Bionic Arm, and it turned out to be, the ring was just too big. So what I'm going to do is go back in here and bring that back up to match that. So let's go ahead and do that. Finger rings, let's start with the middle finger. Base ring. Alright, so there's that's the one I'm looking for. Go in here, let's go ahead and edit this. Yep, that is measurement for the bottom. I want to bring that up how much? Or do I want to bring that up and just bring the top down, actually? Yeah, let's try that. So let's go dimension. Here to there, just to make sure that doesn't move. And then there to there. Let's make that 0. Right, it doesn't like 0. So let's do this. Oops, Control Z. Dimension from there to the bottom line, 7/16, okay. From here to the bottom line, it's 1/2, so let's make that 7/16 as well. As you can see, yeah, that screwed that up a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Dimension from there to there, 13/16, okay. So we are going to shorten each of these sides down to 12/16. There we go. And take this to 7/16. And there we go. Now we got a full circle. The entire thing is now the 3/4 distance. Yeah, that should work. So yeah, let's go ahead and try that. A couple fillets didn't work, and those are there, so I'll have to cut those out. Just want to see what's wrong. Let's delete that. Save that as is just to see how it fits in the full finger and therefore the full hand. Once this finishes loading, good. Open that up. Let's actually go to the front view and see how that changes. Okay, so that dropped down. Okay. So I'm seeing what the problem is right now. So right now, with bringing the top down, it's leaving all this together which obviously is leaving this really low. And I could drop that if I wanted to, but I actually don't. I want to leave the top where it is, and I want to bring that bottom up. So let's go back into here. Let's undo those, undo these, and now let's actually take this right here and bring that up to 1/2. There we go. So that brings that bottom up instead of top down. So hopefully that should solve the problem. Oh, I saved instead of stop sketched. Whoops. It's alright, not a problem. Get rid of these fillets. I'll put those back in a minute. I'll have to change that. But just to see the size change, save. And there we go. Go into the full finger, and let's re-update that. This tiny thing should slide up. There we go. And there we go. That looks like it fits a lot better. Let me just double check something in here, because right now I'm actually thinking something might be an issue. Let's get rid of that dimension. Radius of 3/8. I know how far that's actually going to be, so let me just do this to there. 5/16. 5/16. Sorry, I'm just plugging this in to make sure I'm getting my math right. 3/8. Math. It's 11/16. So that's actually gonna be thinner than I want. Huh. But if I undo, let's bring that back. God dang it. Let's bring this dimension back in. Yep. Let's take this one, put this back to, where was it? Was it 7/16? Yeah. Drop that back down. So now it's 3/8 plus 7/16. That should 7/16. Oh, that brings it, okay. So that's gonna bring it to 13/16, which is a little bit wide. So I don't want to bring this up a full 16th. I want to only bring it up a 32nd. So 7/16 is equal to 14 32nds. So it's 14 32nds, just so I remember that. And I want to increase this just by 1 32nd. That's it. So now we have 15 right there, plus the 11 equals 26. Something still isn't right, because that still gives me 13/16. Oh, no, I'm adding up the wrong thing, that's why. I want the 11 32nds plus 3/8. 11 32nds plus 3. Hold on. That's not giving me the right answer either. Maybe because before I added this in the wrong place. Because 3/8 is 6/8. Oh, so I did have it right at the beginning. Huh. Because that gives me 3/8 from the bottom of here to the top of this line, which is where that top plate should be. Which means actually my measurements on my ring finger are actually wrong. Okay, So, now that I figured that out, that's why I wanted to do this verbally, so you guys can actually hear my thought process as I'm doing this. 1/32. No? Okay. Let's try this again. Just one at a time just to see. Okay. Let's go both of you. Okay, so that works. Minus that little thing out there. Not sure why that is its own thing. What if we get rid of that fillet too? And there, 1/32. It still leaves that little niche. Gonna have to figure that one out. There we go. Now it looks clean. Actually, it looks completely different from the other side. That's actually how I want it to look. So here, let's actually just go with that for right now. Let's fillet the backside. Ooh, this one doesn't like it. Something in here is not happy. Okay, maybe I just had to continue these lines all the way up. No, I'll leave that as is. 1/32. There we go. That looks cleaner. And then fillet that entire strip. And then just definitely the outside. Not sure if it will take the inside, so I'll leave that as is. And 1/32. Looks like everything's good. Yep, took it. Awesome. So let's save that. Okay. Upload to the middle finger. Okay. So now that's back to normal. Back to the full hand. And re-update it. Nothing should really change. Which it didn't. Awesome. And if you are seeing something weird with how these line up, going inside from that middle ring up to the tip, and then this one middle ring to the tip, and this one's like shifted to the side, it's because of this gap right there. Yeah, it's because of how these gaps I have lined up. I have both of these shifted to the left side, and these are actually shifting to opposite sides. So they're not going to quite line up perfectly, but that gap is like a 64th of an inch. So honestly, that right there is like negligible, honestly. All these little gaps are like a 64th of an inch. That one's a little bit bigger. Maybe a 32nd of an inch, but still that's not going to cause too much of a problem later on. Oh, no, that's why. It's actually going inside the other part, so yeah, that gap is still not going to cause much of a problem. So I'll actually fix that now that I'm seeing it. Let's see. Where is... Oh, I have to go back into index finger. So here. Save that again, just to be sure. Close out of it. Let's go back to the rings. Index finger. The full index finger. Also means I can close out of this. Re-upload the middle finger, just so everything's software-wise, it's just consistent with itself. Don't need to worry about that later. Come on. There you go. Now you're doing something. Open up the full index finger now. And now let's go ahead and adjust whatever is going on in here. So, let's find that joint, which is right here, okay. Let's go back into here. Let's adjust this from the top. Bring this that way. Not that much. Like that. Still is not quite matching up. It is still inside slightly. Alright. So let's that I know is going in that one slightly. Okay, so this actually is a little wide entirely. Okay. So I actually need to trim back on that one. So this is what happens when I actually go back and check everything to make sure everything is good. Because some things aren't always good. Alright, so we gotta get rid of that rigid group here to reshift this over. Oh, wait. Delete that. So I can take this, move, point to point, there to there. There we go, that's relined. Assemble, rigid group, capture position, there and there. Okay, so now that's put back together. Awesome. Now I gotta go back into this and shave off just the slightest amount. Off the two sides. Yeah. That's the one I want. Except, go back to top. And I want to take a box. Take a line going down. Yeah, straight down. Let's take this, offset it. 1/32, way too big. Oops. 64 is still way too big. I literally need just the tiniest little amount. 1/28. 1/28 of an inch slipped off both edges will give me an extra 1/64 inch of clearance, which right now with that little tiny bit that it's running over the edge won't, it means a lot, but in the overall scheme of things, that honestly is not much at all. So offset this, negative 1/32, just get it out there. Actually, let's get rid of that little dot on both sides. Damn it. Alright, those ones aren't going to come off. I don't like it when that happens because it just doesn't make my sketch look very clean, which personally I don't like. Leave that there. Trim all this excess. I could have just drawn the line from each of those two edges, but I like to keep it close. So now, back over here. Do the same thing. Going up, or down. offset that, negative 1/28. Oh, 1/28. There we go. And offset, take that, get rid of it. Okay, I just noticed that actually it won't take 1/28. It will only do a minimum of a 64th. Right there. If I make 1/28, it's not going to take it. It's too small of a measurement. So this 1/64 is going to add an extra 32nd of space. Unless I do this the ridiculously long way. So, line from there to there. Line from there to there. One more line as the midpoint. That is going to give me, for sure, that 1/28th, because 1/28th is half of a 64th. So, get rid of both of those. Actually, going to leave that line there for right now. Offset U 1/32. Sure. Oops. Now extend. There. There. Trim there and there. So now back to this side. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this the easy way. I'm going to mirror this. Take that. Mirror over that. Okay. Make it look clean. There we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. Now it looks cleaner. And stop sketch. That was that one, so let's go back in here and let's actually select this cut area. There we go. Distance. All. Okay. And there we go. That cut that little bit extra off. And everything else still held well. Mainly that fillet was the big concern of mine. Anyway, that's good. So let's save that. Go to my full index finger. Let's go, just so we can see it happening, down at the bottom, and update. There we go. Now we got that little bit of extra clearance, which is good. Now, the only thing I need to fix is this thing way up here. It looks like, yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this back slightly and bring both of them in just a little bit. So I'm done with that. Alright, so I am going to do that. Just clean up these couple things right here. When you'll see it in fast time, most likely 200%. When you hear me again, this should be done, and you'll see it all happen. So, I'll see you on the other side. should be back now. So as you can see, I've now cleaned up that space a little bit. It took me a couple different tries to figure out the correct measurement to give myself that little bit of space gap. But I just want to make sure that when I'm actually putting this thing together, nothing's interfering with itself, but still allows it its full range of motion. Oops. I want that joint. Still allows its full range of motion without it colliding with itself. So that should fix that problem. So now with this we can save that and then re-input this into the full hand. So now if we go down to the bottom, re-update this, this should all fix itself. And bam, there you go. We are all set there. Now, of course, the last thing left is the pinky finger. That one, because all the other fingers are, as for most people, are more or less the same size to each other. But, obviously the pinky finger is much, much smaller than any of your other fingers. So, I'm going to go in here, get rid of these. They are all saved. I'll just double save this because it's got the little star, just to be sure. Just going to ask this to update. Nothing else should happen because it was literally the same thing. And there we go. So now comes the fun part of measuring out and designing the pinky finger. This is going to take a while because I'm gonna have to take probably the index finger. Honestly, I could take any of them, but I'm gonna take the index finger for this specifically because of how I have this rounded. Because I have them cut on the inside because of the web of the finger, but I have this extended out here to cover that outside of the finger where you obviously have no web. So I'm probably going to take this as my start, and then take it, redraw it to scale to my pinky finger over here, and then I'll work from there. But honestly, I could probably take any of them, but I'm probably just going to take the entire index finger and then just start rescaling. So, actually looking at it as well, I could probably take the index finger and make it thinner as well. But I'll come back to that later. Let's get working on this pinky finger because I want this thing to actually have all 4 fingers before this video is done. So, I'll catch up with you whenever I feel like I need to say something, but as of right now, I'll see you in a little bit. So, I am back. Unfortunately, I am running out of time right now. So, what is going to happen? I am just going to, because as you can see through that little thing that I just done, the pinky base should be, if I measured and designed it correctly, should be done. And I know with these, it kind of looks a little small. I mean, it's supposed to, because I haven't done anything with those yet. But I just want to show the size comparison between this and the original index finger. I'm just going to leave it just like that, actually. You can see the size difference. This is the original index finger cut. This is the new pinky. So just imagine that resizing done on each, the middle and the tip. I'm going to get rid of that. And unfortunately, because I've run out of time right now, I will be continuing this in my next video. So, if you enjoy what you're liking, and if you want to see more of this, I mean, obviously I'm going to keep doing this, but if you have any other suggestions, or if you want to keep coming back, please tell your friends, please subscribe, and just give me some feedback, because again, this is my first time ever doing something like this, so please let me know. This has been JD's Builds, and enjoy building.